So the third speaker for this session is Mrs. Renuka Jayasundara. Mrs. Renuka Ramani Jayasundara is an alumni of College of Chemical Sciences, Institute of Chemistry, Ceylon, who has succeeded as a women chemist in the industrial sector. She completed her Masters of Business Administration at the University of Sri Jayawardhanapura. She has various work experience as a chemist, laboratory product specialist, a country manager, and a managing director at renowned companies, and has conducted several training programs all across the island. Mrs. Jayasundara is the founding director of AJRJ Group, Analytical Instruments Private Limited, and the Quality Management Systems Consultant at the Sri Lanka Accreditation Board. Without further delay, let me welcome Mrs. Renuka Jayasundara to deliver her talk on women in chemistry. Over to you, Mrs. Jayasundara.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much, Institute of Chemistry and Professor Paranagama, for giving me the opportunity to come back to my home of learning, Institute of Chemistry. My topic is women in chemistry. We had two very interesting discussions earlier where Professor Amelia presented very encouraging statistics showing a very good representation of women in chemistry in certain countries. But some of the research that I did showed American Chemical Society in 2015 showing women as a minority in the field of chemistry. And this, I thought, would have been the reason. And to answer to my male colleagues of Institute of Chemistry who questioned as to why a topic women in chemistry and not men in chemistry, I think the answer is that is to bring awareness to the underrepresentation of women and more so to the challenges that women only face, which men have no idea about. So I think while the separation of the roles of the two sexes is predominantly made on the basis of their biological difference, gender is a concept that changes across time and across the world as per the cultural and the societal acceptance. What defined the gender in the Stone Age? In the traditional model, the man, the hunter, and the woman, the gatherer. This gatherer gene in her DNA, entwined with her motherly instincts, my friends, defines a woman, be it chemistry or any other field. Even though the woman is mainly defined by her ability to bear children, the social and cultural structure of a community defines her true potential. This opportunity, however, we must not forget, is juggled around her maternal role, which is the decisive and underlying criterion, which she considers is more important than the rest of her activities. My friends, her male counterpart, the exploring hunter, has no ties such as looking after the household, the abode, giving him limitless opportunities beyond all boundaries. The role of prehistoric woman and her experiments with chemistry in order to gather everything around her was profound. The meat that was brought to the cave had to be cured, preserved for a latter day. She would have experimented with all the different kinds of rock salts, honey, to find the right blend, to cure the meat for the longest period without harming its taste or the nutrition. This gatherer could not let anything go waste. She used the hides of the animal to protect her family from cold and insects. She experimented and found that the high pH breaks down organic material of the hide, making urine the perfect substance to use in softening and tanning animal hides. Her artistic gene would have led her to discover natural dyes to color the hides and make it fancy for her family and bring color to their otherwise black and white lives. On a latter day, when experimenting with mud and water, she would have discovered the hydrous aluminium phyllosilicates and observed its plasticity to mold them into shapes. She went further to experiment with fire and saw the effect of temperature to make and break bonds which hardened her clay, resulting in her invention of pottery. She would have observed the effects of the microorganisms, triggering a chemical reaction to increase the elasticity of the clay, to mold her pottery into various finer shapes and designs. The magic of chemistry, when introducing various silicates and other catalysts to produce various color and the glaze of her rough produce, would have fascinated her. In this work of art, she would proudly present food to her brood and brought a mood of festivity to the cave. She would have extended this experience of molding and baking to grain and invented bread. She would have used this pottery to store fruits, to later develop wine, and to maybe entice her man to a more romantic evening. She would have accidentally discovered the leftover wine her lover drank on a previous night, transformed to vinegar, and used it to improve the taste of her cured meat. So, with this wide application of her knowledge of chemistry in real life, the social role of woman reached its prime in the well-organized Neolithic society that followed. It was she who coordinated and at the same time reproduced life and thus increased and improved the family. However, her continuously multiplying obligations resulted in the gradual isolation of this woman in the home, excluding this dynamic force from any active participation in basic economy that were to develop. After all, she was just a housewife, raising kids, nurturing them with her knowledge and wide application of chemistry in a day-to-day life. By 1883, women, mostly young and unmarried, with little or no job training, occupied typically clerical and teaching positions and entered the economic workforce. The journey for women in the path of chemistry commenced in 1870 when Ellen Solve Richard became the first woman to earn a degree in chemistry. This continued until Marie Curie in 1911 led in the field to be the first woman to be awarded the Nobel Prize for Chemistry. While acknowledging that history would have been rewritten many times over the feats of women in various fields, it is yet interesting to muse as to what opportunities women had and what challenges they faced due to the very fact that they were women. Let's take the life of Marie Curie, the most renowned woman in chemistry, a classic example to isolate and study the remarkable difference of women versus men in chemistry. She came from a family where her mother was a headmistress of a girls' school, brought up with a wonderful family where playing was educational, where the children learned while playing and played while learning. While being as brilliant as all her male contemporaries of the time, such as Sir William Ramsay, Ernest Rutherford, her brilliance or her determination did not open doors of education easily, since women were not allowed to study at Polish universities, her birth country. She had to go abroad to pursue her studies, finance her education, taking up jobs such as a governess, being the one of the few choice of employment opportunities available for women, leading to vulnerabilities such as falling in love with the employee's son, an unacceptable situation for a poor woman. Having self-financed in 1893, she graduated from Sorbonne, ranking first on the licentiate list of physical sciences, but was denied employment in universities in Warsaw and Krakow because at the time, universities in Europe rarely considered employing female graduates. Her biographies say that the birth of her daughter Irene in 1897 did not interfere with Marie's intensive scientific work. Are we to infer that she did not have morning sickness during pregnancy? Did she not have to go through a difficult confinement to deliver the baby? And did she not have to nurse the baby throughout the restless nights that follow, throughout sickness and in health? No, my friends, it only says that her sheer determination as a woman did not stop her from discovering radium just 1 year later while balancing her new role of motherhood at its optimum. In between reading storybooks and poetry to her infant daughter, organizing bicycle trips around Normandy with Pierre, in the bicycles they were given as a wedding present, she spent quality time with her husband and daughter, walking and observing animals and plants, making both of them sensitive to the beauty of nature. In parallel, she was working towards receiving her doctorate and their first joint Nobel achievement for their discovery of radioactivity at the same time when she gave birth to her second daughter, Eva. Ladies and gentlemen, I wonder how many times she was disturbed during her work in the laboratory by the kids due to sickness, or to complain about the meal that they did not like, or to ask about the birthday party that would want her to plan. Was it she or was it Pierre who was disturbed in the lab by the kids who suddenly remembered a forgotten homework assignment? And all those memorable moments that every career woman could share with another, which is uniquely experienced mostly only by women. The sudden death of Pierre, 2 years later, made this world-renowned career woman, scientist, a widow with 2 small children overnight. In 1911, while she received an unprecedented second Nobel Prize, this time in chemistry for her work on radium, the society, unfortunately, the public, did not spare her from the scandal of publicizing her love letters to a fellow scientist. My dear friends, unfortunately, this letter apparently received the same publicity as much as her Nobel. I wonder if that would have happened to a man of the same status during the same time. Or was she targeted for a publicized scandal due to her vulnerability as a widow, a woman? It intrigues me to think how many times she had to stop and slow down from achieving what she wanted due to this role conflict a working woman would always have. The guilt of having to hand over your kids to a child carer while you pursue with your career would almost define you at times. To nurture and mentor one daughter to be a Nobel Prize winning chemist and the other daughter, a renowned artist, a pianist at the same time, her role would have been profound. Or did they just grow to be like that under a tree? And yet, it is only a woman in her Nobel Prize winning speech would share this pivotal role that this woman would play in the lives of their children with the governess and thank her governess with the equal sense of indebtedness in the same sentence of thanking her scientific colleagues. I wonder how many men would thank their governess in a Nobel Prize winning speech. This shows the impact the responsibility of child rearing has on a career woman over a man in a professional environment. And now a word of advice from one woman in chemistry to another, and a few words of advice to those starting on their careers. The choice is yours. Taking up the role of both hunter and gatherer is what you choose when you decide to take up a career, be it chemistry or any other outside the role of a homemaker. For a man, when he decides to take up the role of a hunter, he is aligned to his gene code evolved over thousands of years. But when you choose a career, you shall be taking up both roles of hunter and gatherer, and you shall be rewiring your own gene code. How much more resilience would a woman require than a man? It is a fact that any minority will have to work twice as smart and twice as hard to be seen equal and to be accepted with the majority. It goes without saying that we women are a minority in our workplace. You will be expected to work smarter and harder to have equal status of a man. Having decided to take up the role of the hunter, did you give a thought as to how the society would see your independence, your decisiveness, blended with your compassionate nature in your career path? Interestingly, the terms used to describe women bosses are rarely used on men in the same context. An independent woman is bossy, while when she is decisive, she is aggressive. A man is smart, and the same capability of smartness is termed as shrewdness when it comes to a woman. Her compassion could be seen as a weakness, while the man taking the same decision will be seen as his confidence. What would drive you to be in this and be resilient? Is it the love for chemistry? Love for your economic independence that comes with your career? But remember, unlike men, you will be compelled to give up something to have another. And how much are you willing to take up, and what will you not tolerate? Will you succumb, or is it a question as to when you would succumb to the societal pressure to focus more on your gatherer role than the hunter role? Ladies, the choice is yours. It is not what the society is expecting from you, but it is all about how you can contribute to society while not forgetting that is you who has to make the home environment conducive where the children can learn while playing and play while learning. Being a woman in the field of chemistry, Institute of Chemistry provided me so many opportunities. I chose to be a chemist, be a woman entrepreneur in the field of chemistry, be a wife, be the business partner of my husband, be a mother to my 4 children, educating them in the fields of medicine, economics and finance and engineering, while being a woman boss. Trust me, yes, we can do all that. In the process, we rewire our gene code. Thank you.